bull, go, out for the, I'm walking the bull, go, out for the, I'm walking the bull, go, out for the.
Hey everybody, welcome on into our very first episode of Dad Meets World, a show featuring two dads discussing the ups and downs of parenting and all the other fun stuff in life that we're probably missing out on. Gives us a chance to catch up. We promise to try and keep it clean for the most part, but the world is messy, so sometimes you got to get your hands a little dirty, huh? If you enjoy what we're doing, please like and subscribe to our show wherever you listen or watch your podcasts. I'm Mike. It's a pleasure to introduce my co-host, Mike. Good day.
Good evening.
And our producer, Nick, is also here. He's the adult in the room.
That's me, I guess. Yep.
Today, we're brought to you by Shoes, and I believe it's Robot Vacuums.
I think so.
We're going to find out.
You're in control.
This is great.
You
I love
selected
it.
the right email.
That's great. But let's go ahead and jump into it if you're ready.
I am.
Awesome. All right. For tonight's appetizer, we got what we call Dad's Vent and Discuss. Mike, please take us off.
Not too much to vent or discuss. Christmas, our family had the norovirus.
The Nora or the Noro?
See, I thought the same thing when I originally heard this, and I thought everybody was giving us a hard time. But Noro with an O.
Oh. Well, I didn't know that.
But we had a great Christmas. It was a lot of fun.
No. I guess I never thought about it.
So two things happened. I mistook originally this for a fake disease that people were making fun of me for because my daughter's name is Nora. And I thought it was fake and people were just giving me a hard time. It's a real disease. But then I started mixing that up with the hantavirus, which is the one that you get from mouse poop. It's not that.
Oh.
So it's just, it's like the stomach flu, essentially, and you transfer it from person to person, and it just makes you feel horrible for a day. So our entire family, my wife's sister, and I think me and my brother-in-law were the only ones that were spared. And I think my son was okay for the most part, too, but everybody else had the norovirus, which is a little stomach bug. And my mom, my sister-in-law, my wife, everyone in the house except for us got it. And it was a great Christmas until about 12 o'clock, I guess, on December 26th. So Christmas was really good.
Okay.
But the only thing to vent about was the puke fest that followed. So,
you know what? I don't have any follow-up questions to the actual sickness. I have a quick question. What was the one that you said was mouse poop? Hantavirus. And that's
not
pretty
good.
Common, or that's not so common?
Not so common.
So like if someone were to ingest mouse poop, would they have to ingest like a lot of it? Do you know? I know I'm not asking the right person.
You have to come in contact with infected mouse poop, urine, or other bodily fluids that you get on your hands and then you ingest. There's not, I don't think, necessarily a quantity. It's just that it gets on your hands and then you eat some food or you touch your face or you do something and get it into an orifice with a finger or whatever else, and it's
okay. And then you can get it easily. You've given me a lot to think about. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to stop pranking people by replacing their raisins with mouse poop. Wow. Didn't think that would be a problem. But here we are. Okay.
How's your Christmas and New Year's?
Jesus. New Year's was fun. It was very quiet. It was very relaxed. Hung out with some friends and fell asleep before midnight. I think this may be the first year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for you.
I think this may be the first year that I fell asleep before midnight. My dad came over and watched Harrison, which was really nice. Since he goes to bed at 7, we were out a little bit later till a whole 9:00 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah. Before that, Christmas was great. A lot of family lives in town, and some family came into town. So we were really busy with hanging out with folks. It was fun, but I think when you have a kiddo, it takes a little bit extra to go do things and to have the energy to get out and go do those things. So I think both Cassie and I were just a little tired from the holidays. So especially when New Year's rolled around, we were super happy that it was a very relaxed night. It was a minimal amount of people that we were hanging out with. No one was rowdy, and we got to go home and get some good rest. So all in all, great Christmas break that we got to have. But I still just don't feel like we're caught up on sleep on any level whatsoever.
Never will be.
Yeah. But the big thing that did happen, not really related to New Year's or Christmas whatsoever. So as you know, as Nick, I don't know if Nick knows. Nick, so we had a parrot at our house. Okay, he's nodding his head. So we had a parrot with us. His name's Kramer. Cassie had him for about 15 years. And we have a home that with Harrison and, hopefully another kiddo and our 2 dogs. It's a little chaotic and the bird doesn't get out of the cage very much. He's an eclectus. I believe they're from the Solomon Islands.
Does that mean he likes to collect eclectic items?
High five. That was terrible.
It was a terrible high five.
Oh no, the high five was actually, yeah, the high five was representative of the comment itself. So we made an arrangement with this family down in Phoenix that they're a bird family. They have other birds already. They roam free for the most part. They have their cages, but they get to come out constantly. They get a lot of attention. So we knew before we had talked to them, we knew that we were going to try to find a better home for him because he's a great bird. So an eclectus is a parrot, but I don't think they talk as much as is it a macaw? Or is that what they're called?
Your guess is
Nick's
better
also
than
nodding
mine.
as well. Cool. I don't know.
Nick's an expert
I just
on
lived
all
with the bird
birds.
for a long time.
His last name is Siegel. Think about it.
So we had made this decision a while ago that we were not going to be able to give the bird the life it actually deserved, the interaction that he deserved. Made the decision we're going to find a good family for him to go to, and lo and behold, Cassie knew someone from college and was able to have a conversation with them initially. We hopped on FaceTime multiple times to make sure it was all good. And since they live in Phoenix, we're in Colorado, we decided to meet halfway on the 27th and exchange Kramer and make that all happen. And first and foremost, I've gotten plenty of videos. I've gotten plenty of pictures. He's really happy. It looks like such an awesome environment for him. And I'm sure he's happy to be back in hotter weather. I don't think that Colorado was really an ideal spot for him.
You got lucky that bird didn't not like those people immediately on the way home because they had to drive another, 8 hours home?
Yeah, 6 hours. But I think it did take them a little bit longer because the cage and whatever they were also transporting, it didn't. I don't think it went as smooth as they would have liked. But yeah. So that was a long journey for them. He was apparently very quiet and he was tired. Makes sense. I think he was stressed out the whole time. When he was driving to the drop off with me, he was making happy noises as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, so my dad, I don't think he knew that I was doing this until like 3 days before. But when I told him, he was like, well, I'll go with you. And I was like, okay. I don't need, for me, a 5.5, 6 hour drive down, 6 hour drive home. I take breaks. I'll be just fine. It's not that bad of a drive for someone like myself that likes to road trip. But he wanted to go. I think there's a good chance that just with all the family in town and everything, he just wanted a break from having to do all the events. And he does enjoy peace and quiet, and road trips are full of that. So he came with me, and where this story is going is actually something that I wanted to jump into with you. But we were talking about a million different things. One of the things that I brought up was, so we have Harrison, but hopefully, one day we'll have a second kiddo. And we were talking about the fact that I'm scared to have a daughter because I am in a family of all boys, and it's just one of those things that scares me because I wouldn't know what to do as a father of a daughter, and the world's a scary place. So I shared that with my dad, and he said the same thing. He's like, I don't know what I would have done if we had a daughter, because it's me and my 2 brothers. So you, Mike, like you just mentioned, you're the father of a daughter, and you're going to have to deal with some different situations than, as far as I'm concerned right now, I'm going to have to deal with. So I had a quick game for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So the game that's marry, screw, kill. That's the polite way of saying it, right?
You want to play this game with my daughter?
No. Good gravy, sir. No. Oh my gosh.
Where are we going?
Let me just so anyways,
Back you into something you had no intention.
no. Good. Anyways, so I'm calling this game Tase 'em, Haze 'em, or Hug 'em.
Oh my
And this
God.
is so later in life, your daughter is going to prom, and her prom date is coming to pick her up. And there's 3 options here, okay? You can either tase them, haze them, or hug them, but it's the same rules that apply. So it's only one for each of these type of individuals, okay?
Aye.
All right, so here's your options. A boy that rolls up on his bicycle, he's not wearing a helmet, saying he plans to have your daughter stand on the pegs of his bike on the way to prom. That's option number 1. The next option is a boy that rolls up in a lifted truck with floodlights piercing into your soul and blasting the song "Try That" in a small town.
Haze 'em.
But he's very polite. And a boy that drifts his tricked out Honda Civic into your driveway, leaving skid marks, but he is blasting your favorite Tupac song. I can go through the options again because it's not just like names. So you tell me if you want me to go back over them. Number 1,
No, we don't
a
need
kid
to
on
go
his
back
bike.
over this. We're gonna get through it quickly so we can move on.
Because you don't want to think about this,
No.
do you?
No.
Your daughter's going to get invited to prom at some point in her life, and you're going to have to deal with whatever that situation is. So I'm prepping you. You're welcome.
I'm gonna hug the third man.
You're
boy,
gonna hug the kid that drifts his tricked out Honda Civic
Because
into your
He
driveway.
needs to be hugged and told that his life is worth more than the recklessness, abandonment he is currently giving it. So I'm gonna give that boy a hug and a talking to as soon as I get his little ear.
Okay.
I'm gonna
so you have
tase the first child, and I'm gonna haze the second child.
So just to recap, Mike's gonna tase the kid that rolls up on his bicycle without a helmet that plans on taking your daughter to prom on a bicycle. And then you're gonna haze the kid that rolls up in a lifted truck with headlights piercing into your soul and blasting "Try That" in a small town. But once again, he's very polite. You know what? I think that's a good choice. I very much so agree with you. I think I might do it the same way. Although I might hug the kid on the bike. I think he kind of needs it. Like, that's the kid that like, well, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't, because that's the kid that had enough confidence to show up to your house on a bike and told you to your face, your daughter's hopping on these pegs and we're going to prom.
Sweet Lord.
I don't know, man.
I stand by my choices.
I love it. Did you have a would you rather?
Yeah.
But before we jump into our commercial break, let's do a quick would you rather.
Good save. I like it. All right. So, yeah, we'll have these little segments here where I just get to ask you guys questions that you have no idea what I'm going to ask you about.
Yep.
Sometimes they're about dad things. Sometimes they're about life things. And, yes, we'll find out as we go along.
Some I don't like it.
Oh, there you go. So, we'll start soft.
Anything is better than what you just did to me.
We'll
It wasn't. I got your brain. Sorry, churning. You were just deep in the process of, oh my God, my daughter's going to get invited to prom by a boy.
Goodness.
Sorry. All right, Nick,
Yeah,
continue.
So we'll start soft.
Okay.
Would you rather your child have to wear the same outfit, or you have to wear the same outfit as your child until they're 18, or the other way around, where they have to wear the same outfit you are wearing every day until they're 18?
Them. I don't care.
Yeah, them easy.
Yeah, they can wear baggy clothes and
But
barely
let's
get
think
by.
about this
No,
from
I
more
don't
so-
care. Because it's all the same size, right? Or is it the same style?
They're
And
wearing
that's it?
exactly what you're wearing.
That's what I'm thinking.
or
That's
you're
what-
wearing
yeah,
exactly what they're wearing.
that's where my head's at.
So let's think about it from, I guess, what is the downside of your child wearing your clothes? Is there any time in their life where they are just not very cool because they're wearing whatever you're wearing?
I'm the coolest person I know.
I
So
think if you
I
wear
think
a
that's
suit-
just fine.
If you wear a suit at all, or
Yeah.
if you wear some colored shirt, that doesn't fly in high school very
Yeah.
well.
My kid's going to be rocking khakis and a button up. Hey, yo. We
Okay,
all
so
know
you
that
have
kid was
nothing to
very well
lose
liked.
with this. My daughter is going to hate me,
Oh, that's a good point.
and I'm going to love my daughter. But if I have to dress in a so if I have a boy and a girl, does that mean that I have to dress in a combination of the two of them,
A top and a bottom each day.
or a bottom and a top?
Sure.
So it's either you're rocking a skirt or a blouse every day.
Dude, I got to do what I got to do for my kids.
Spaghetti straps.
We're gonna do it.
Take it to the next level.
Dad can wear a jacket.
That's right.
Those kids,
Well,
they
I
gotta
don't
be
know.
cool.
But it's the same jacket that your daughter's wearing then.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, am I glad I don't have a daughter.
Could you imagine if I had to wear yoga pants and a jacket?
Imagine.
Wait, hold on.
Imagine if Grayson
If-
did.
I mean, if the choices are,
Yeah, I'm picturing that.
I have to wear
yeah, that's
Oh,
nice.
like-
gross.
leggings
He's got a dump truck. It's not bad.
or like a low cut shirt,
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to throw on the jacket that Grayson is wearing to school,
No.
and I'm
no,
going to take
no.
the bullet.
No, because a top is either your daughter's top or your son's pants or shorts or whatever.
No, I know. That's what I'm
Like,
saying. Though,
you
is
don't
if-
you don't get to mix and match. So if you're wearing your daughter's top, you're wearing your daughter's jacket as well.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Is like there may be a day where my daughter decides she wants to wear a top that I can't, like a very tight, like, I don't know, weird U-cut neck shirt that I just can't wear.
If this situation was real,
And I
you
have to
better
wear the
hope that-
jacket, and she's got whatever, maybe she's just got tight jeans or whatever they are on. I don't know. Bell bottoms. I don't even know what females wear in high
Ooh,
school.
Black Betty.
All right. So,
Move on.
Yes, moving on. All right. So that was the first one. Next one. Would you rather have your child vomit every time someone picks them up, or sharts when someone calls them cute?
Sharts when someone calls them cute. How fun is that?
Can you say that one more time?
Would you rather your child vomits every time someone picks them up, or sharts when someone calls them cute?
Every time somebody picks them up, they vomit.
Yeah.
Friends, family,
Yes.
Yeah.
then cute. It's got to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Even if we're not talking about during the diaper era, like they're out of diapers.
Oh.
Still, though, are you kidding me? Like if someone calls them cute, they're like, oh my gosh, your son is so cute.
You're right. So that first option then is it is a short-term option or a short-term problem.
Yeah.
I feel
'Cause-
like the vomiting is getting on the other person. So
Yeah.
are you cleaning up the other person, or the sharding is your own child is
And
messy, and
also-
that is always your problem.
Yeah, and
And-
one is apologizing and yes, helping someone clean up. The other one's just apologizing for your son's inability to keep his poop in his butt
Yeah, but also
or daughter.
with the first one, nobody's picking up a 15-year-old. Nobody's going to be picking them up and holding them.
Yeah, but who's calling a 15-year-old cute?
His future
I think there's
girlfriend
Plenty, I think there's plenty.
or
of,
her future boyfriend.
Oh, what a situation that would
Right?
be.
So you
He's
have
just
to
so cute when
you
he- oh my God.
Exactly. You have to take the vomiting.
Yes.
You have to take the vomiting because at any point in the future where your child is in a dating age, trying to get married. When somebody calls them cute,
yeah, and
they will be so embarrassed. Where at least, like, you know, grandma's not going to pick up the 16-year-old grandson or daughter.
Well, and realistically, like, what age do people stop picking up your kid?
Exactly. I don't know.
And
like
you could
8,
still
9,
be picked
10.
up in high school. I would say I picked up many people.
Oh my God, and that's the other one too. You could have
Picking them
friends that. What if your son or daughter are the quarterback of the high school football team and they've just won state?
Yeah. Don't pick me up, man. You cursed your child at the beginning of their life, but you gave them a blessing for the rest of it that they can always get out of being like picked up and held without their consent. Because as soon as they are taken up in the air, they're going to puke everywhere.
Gosh.
I'm taking that one.
All right, that was it for Would You Rather. We're going to take a quick commercial break by ourselves, and we'll come back with our dad cap. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, tell me if you've ever heard this one before. Ow! Squish. Oh no. If you have, you're not alone in missing out on wearing shoes. Every day, dozens of people leave the house not wearing shoes. That's right, an epidemic of bare feet in society. If you've ever found yourself in this situation, try this out for size. Not being a moron or high on drugs and wearing shoes when you should. Shoes do so much more than we give them credit for. Can you imagine attending Woodstock 99 with shoes? There's a good chance you wouldn't have contracted that fungal disease waiting in line for a turkey leg. They not only protect your feet from unwanted predators, but they also keep you warm during cold situations, like walking outside when it's cold, or walking outside when it's really cold. Don't delay. Go get some shoes right now from your local TJ Maxx, Ross, or anywhere else they sell pretty good shoes.
Mikey, do you have a child?
I do.
Does that child eat food?
Sometimes.
Does that child play with toys?
You better believe it.
Does he like to get into other things that you'd rather him not get into?
I wish he wouldn't, but he does.
Do you have the time to clean up his every mess?
I definitely do, but I refuse to.
Let me tell you, if there was something that you could follow your child around or could follow your child around that would pick up his every mess, clean everything up, put everything away, and suck up all the crumbs, would you be interested?
I would.
Let me tell you about the Child Vacuum 2000. The Child Vacuum 2000 picks up after every one of your child's whims. Toys, trash, crumbs, crumblies, candy, anything else that your child leaves behind. Boogers on your fingers, smeared windows. Mikey, have you ever sat down and wanted to eat dinner and all of a sudden you look next to you and there's a big old gumball goalie right there sitting from your kid's nose? Not anymore. With the Kid Robot 2000, you never have to pick up a mess again because it will follow your child around every second of the day. At night, does it go to sleep? I don't know. I can't turn it off. It's staring at my child right now. Is he safe? Is she safe? I'm not sure. But I can tell you, there is not a mess that is too dirty in this world for the robot to clean. Their room right now, completely spot-free. Their safety, unsure. It's a robot. How do we know? I'm paying $29.99 a month for the next 200 months for this robot, and I could not be happier. Will my child be a toddler for the next 200 months? No. But is it worth it? Oh, yeah. Get yours, too, at thekidrobot2000.org.
And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment that we've never done before, the Dad Cap, where we go over things that maybe we missed this week, or maybe it's some stuff that we wanted to talk to another individual about. Since we're both here, we have that opportunity. Mike.
Mine is about fatherhood, kind of.
You go for it then. That's a great way to kick it off.
Sure.
I don't have anything about fatherhood.
So
what are you talking about?
Kind of, I guess, maybe not more of a story, but more of like a success and a struggle. So I'll go first. I'll give you a success and a struggle that I'm having or going through. or have achieved. And then I'm going to flip the script on you, and I want to know something that you've achieved with your child. So I guess a little bit of background. My children are 2 and 1, 2 and 4 months, and 1 almost exactly. And we just had the best Christmas. So that's success. My sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and their 2 kids were over, and they are 7 and 2.5. And then my kids are 2 and 1. So we had an awesome Christmas. There was gifts and Santa and cookies and big food. And our oldest nephew was leaving the house on the 26th and said, "Man, this was the best Christmas ever." And he, when a 7-year-old tells you that, you take the win. So that's my success. We had an awesome Christmas. My failure, I guess, or my struggle is that child, that boy, does not want to go to bed. Our bedtimes are about an hour long. Okay, let's give a window. 30 minutes to 60 minutes long.
Man, that's a long time.
Because he wants to brush his teeth, which we do every single night, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
Floss
have to
his
do that.
teeth every single night, which is good. But then we go into his room, and depending on the night, it's 2 to 3 books or stories, and it's 2 to 3 songs. And when you give a 2-year-old what they want once, they want it every single time.
Yeah.
And every single time after that you say no, it becomes a battle for the ages. And it is so hard to go back on what you've done. So when you treat them to something, like in the book, if you give a moose a muffin, you then have to kind of follow through on that every night following, or face a battle to try and cut the habit. So that's what we're struggling with him.
Okay.
And that's what's tough.
Yeah.
Everything else is, he's going through the 2s and the 3s
Yeah.
as a little kid, which is fun and difficult.
Okay.
But that's the toughest thing, is saying goodnight to him takes about an hour, maybe 45 minutes on average. And then with Nora, she just cannot be separated from mom. She's at that age where she is just super attached. And if mom puts her down or leaves the room, it is chaos, which is worse for Kristen, my wife. But everyone around also has to deal with the fact that, man, mom put me down, and I am just not okay with that. So that's my struggle, and those were my successes.
Can I say something real
Yeah,
quick?
of course.
May not like to hear this, but kind of sounds like you got some stage 5 clingers, and maybe you need to move on.
Can't. No, I've committed. It's a thing called commitment, and I guess I'm here for the long haul.
I mean, I just think, so what if you got my genetics? Act accordingly, or
Get it.
go to grandma and grandpa's. Okay, so success and failure, that was your question to me as well. So most major success that I've had with Harrison is making sure he's making sure that he's a very happy kiddo.
But how old is Harrison?
Sorry, thank you for asking. Harrison is now 1 year old, and I would definitely say making sure that he's happy, but he also, and I mean, there's only so much you can do when they're that young, so it's not really like I'm going in depth here, but making sure that I'm also stern in the moments that I need to be, like feeding the dogs when he's supposed to be eating. I'm not talking yelling at the child, but I am saying, like, being able to tell him no and not worrying about the sad puppy
Does he
dog
like to
guys
eat
that
the
follow.
dog's food?
He would if he could. I don't allow it. And then the biggest failure that I've had, I would definitely say the most recent example is dressing up as Santa Claus and surprising my son. Fun fact, 1-year-olds, they don't like to be surprised. I didn't know that, and now I've learned. He's got a little bit of childhood trauma, and Dad learned a good lesson. So,
But my child loved it. You are still Santa in my phone, by the way.
oh, nice.
But he loved it.
Yeah.
The smile on his face, the light in his eyes when he saw you as Santa, and he got to hang out with you and talk to you and just get some one-on-one time with you, because
It
he was
cool.
the only one that was happy with you.
Yeah,
He
five,
was so happy, dude.
5 or 6 kids attended that party. Yes, only one. Only your son actually
He
liked
was
hanging out with
stoked,
Santa.
man.
It made my whole night. Because obviously I wanted the day to be full of joy, and instead it was full of tears and just fear and trying to run away from Santa. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny too because he talks about it so passively. He'll be like, "Yeah, I met Santa. We talked. Like,
So
we had a
cool.
good time. We got it.
Oh, man.
I told him what I wanted. He told me I needed to be a good boy, and I got squishy cars on Christmas.
That's
which
right, he did.
Squishy cars apparently mean Jello molded Jello. So
Molded Jello?
yeah, he got. I don't know at what point in his life he got Jello that was molded into a race car,
Oh, okay.
and he calls them squishy cars.
Yeah,
so
that
when he
makes
told
sense.
you that, we were like, "What is a squishy car?" And then we figured it out. So we gave that to him
Okay.
for Christmas, and he loved it. But
Nice.
anyways, you made my child's Christmas, so
Awesome.
bravo to you, sir.
I can't wait to dress up as the Grinch and absolutely ruin his next Christmas. Okay, well, I didn't know we were going that direction with talking about something very personal in our lives.
Sorry,
but that's
steered
okay.
steered in another
If
direction.
if you don't mind, can we talk sports real quick?
Of course.
Okay, so college football playoff is currently going on right now. We just wrapped up the quarterfinals, which had the top 4 seeded teams face off against the teams that won the previous round. So you have these teams that have not played in a month face off against teams that played a week and a half ago, essentially. All of the teams that had the extra bye week and haven't played for a month, all of them lost.
So all of the top seeds.
All of the top, well, and I mean we can say top
Not
seeds,
all of the
but
top,
it's
but yeah. All of the bye weeks.
Yeah, and the way that college football, the way that they decided to do the seeding of the teams, they based it on conference champions. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're the strongest teams in the field. It just means that they won the conference, won the game against the number
And they
2.
based them in order of
number
which
one.
they think the conferences are the strongest.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of assuming going on there, but either way, you have the team that comes from the smaller conferences like Mountain West and the AAC, the MAC, whatever. Maybe the MAC. No, am I wrong about that? Because I think they do their own playoff. I don't think the MAC plays into it. Anyways,
I mean, if they were good enough, if they were in the top 12 or
Yeah,
they
but
were
I don't
rated
think-
within the eyes of whoever chooses the selection committee.
I thought that they're because there's different levels to college football. It's all way too complicated, and that's just the way
The
it is.
MAC is eligible, yes, for the college
it?
football playoff.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. So, anyways, we had this situation that happened where all those teams lost. People were also complaining about the teams that got into the college football playoff, saying that some teams play in tougher conferences and they should have got the nod to get in there. So, it's kind of a crappy situation where these teams that earned their way to a bye week had a whole month off and also played a neutral site game. So they didn't even get the benefit of playing at home. They had to go play somewhere outside their state or at least a certain distance away from their university. And they hadn't played in a month. So it was... Yeah, I mean, it just was what it was, and it's the first year of the new format. So my question to you, and I'll start off by saying what I would do, but my question to you on this one is, what would you do for the college football playoff? What would you like to see changed the most? Or if you just overhauled it entirely, what would you do? I will say on my end of things, I definitely think they need to start the playoffs way sooner. That's the biggest thing. I know that it messes with tradition because usually these games, they're the old bowl games. The New Year's Eve 6? Is that what they call them? Like the Rose Bowl, the
Something like that, yeah.
Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, all that fun stuff. So those are it's tradition that they're played at this time of year, and you have the fact that they're students and they have finals, and they also need to be able to go home and see their families, their young kids. Like, that is a very real fact, but they're also paid now. well, not all of them. I shouldn't say it that way, but like there's money involved now, especially at the playoff level. When we're talking about these guys, they're making okay money at the very least. I would hope. So there is a lot that needs to be done. And if I'm talking the biggest one is they need to start it sooner, and they need to have a proper reseeding done so that it's not based off of you won your conference. It just needs to be based off of end of season. Where do you rank based on the committee's, process of looking at all your games that you played and all that fun stuff. So, Mike, you play college football 2025 on the PlayStation 5 quite often, over 150 hours, I believe. Mm-hmm. That's quite a statistic.
I'm well over 250.
Are you really? No, you're not.
Yeah.
You've played that game? That game has been out for 10 months, 9 months. No.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
It doesn't matter.
It came out.
Yeah.
No, it came out midsummer. My dude, that's. So anyways, you've played a lot. You've probably played through all the simulated seasons, postseasons. What would you do?
I have never simulated a game, just to let you know. But you are right. Playing that game as much as I have, it gives me, I guess you could say, a box to stand on, right? Like,
sure.
It gives me the credibility that I need playing a video game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not at all.
Just like all the keyboard warriors out there.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. I think the toughest thing for any team is a break in action. Momentum is huge. I think you can regain momentum, and a bye week can be very beneficial to you. But, I mean, ASU lost, Oregon lost, Boise State lost, which...
That was expected, though.
And Georgia lost. So maybe there is something to be said for that, and having time off, and as much time as they had off. But I agree with you. The amount of time in which those teams were not playing at the level that they had been playing for the entire season, and then were expected to then jump back into it at the highest of high level in college football, it's going to be tough for any team. And clearly those teams all lost. So
yeah. So what would you do? What would you do differently? If they were like, Mike, they text you and they're like, Mike, oh man, we suck at this, dude. We screwed this up this year. What should we do differently? And you're like, you reached out to the right person. What are we doing?
The season just continues, right? Like you have the Army-Navy week is essentially your bye week. Then the next week is your college football playoff first round. There's not a break past that. Like it's got to be every week like it is during the season. You can't have multiple weeks between college football playoffs, or I don't know. I just think it's got to be a little bit sooner. It's got to be a little bit more compacted.
Yeah.
Don't give a team too many weeks off to where they do become complacent, maybe, or stagnant, or they come out flat. I don't know. I think that's a tough hurdle, and they're good, but you are giving somebody a hurdle to jump over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll ask you one more question real quick, because I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but 12 teams, did you feel like that was the right number? Do you feel like they should have gone to 8? Do you feel like it should have been 6? Do you feel like it should have been 16?
I like the idea of more.
Yeah, I do too, but I also feel like football is different than basketball, where size makes so much of a difference, and there's only so many big boys in this country playing at an elite level. And the more teams you have, the more games you have, the more wear and tear you have, the longer your season is. But I like the idea of more teams. I don't know how you would work that in, but I like the idea of more teams playing, because now that you have a college football playoff and there is 12 teams involved, it kind of feels like the rest of those bowl games, they mean something. And obviously there's a lot that goes into that, but it's the conference championship. It's making it to the college football playoffs that is the goal. And it's kind of like the consolation prize to get that bowl game. So I like giving more teams the opportunity to make it and have that last postseason game be more meaningful in a way, and have a chance to move on and have a chance to play the big boys, even if it is going to be a blowout. Give somebody from the MAC a chance to play somebody from the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10. Like, why not? So okay. Nice. Well, I think we got time for one more each. So let's just run through one more. Do you have...
Oh, we have plenty of time.
Yeah, what do you got next? What do you have?
Well, I finally finished Cyberpunk after I think I put over 100 hours of gameplay into it. And I got the worst ending possible. So I went back and I played through to get a different ending to the game. I got the Cyberpunk ending the first game. I just kept following the the Phantom Liberty ending.
Okay.
And it was the most unsatisfying ending to that game because it's such a good game and I had so much fun playing it that the ending of that was just so unsatisfying that I had to go back from my last save in Phantom Liberty and replay a different ending in Cyberpunk, the main game. So did that ending, unsatisfied, went back, played, got the ending that I think I wanted. I don't know. There's other choices, but I made the choices that I was most satisfied making, and I won't spoil it for you. That's what's hard for me to talk about, but finally finished, and man, that game is so much fun, and it is such a good game, and it is, I mean, I know it came out in 2020, I think, originally,
Yep.
but holy cow, playing it now in 2024, now 2025, but I mean, man, I think it made top 5 on my list of all time. Just
Oh, wow.
the ability to do everything that you get to do in that game, to get all the abilities and have the different gameplay and combat, whether you want to be a sword, ninja, stealth, character, or you want to play with guns and, you know, take that road. There's just so many different options in the combat and in the story and different ways to play the game that I mean, I just had so much fun. And 100-ish hours into it, I mean, I think I put it number 4 on my list all time.
Nice.
And I can't wait for you to play the rest of it.
Oh, I'm excited. I really am. It's a very tight game as far as the gameplay goes, and then it's very deep RPG wise. So listeners, just in case you're wondering, Cyberpunk 2077 is a game by the people that made the Witcher series, and it's an RPG based, of course, in a cyberpunk world with a lot of decisions you can make and really good voice acting, really good, just directions that you can go, what you can do with your character. It's very much so, it feels like the kind of game that you get wrapped up in and you kind of forget what else is going on around you. So if you have a PS5, if you have an Xbox Series X and you don't know what we're talking about, that's highly unlikely, but you should definitely go check it out. And even if you do know what it is, but you haven't picked it up yet, it's always on sale.
Have you been able to disappear into it like you just said and just feel
5
like
hours, 5 hours, that's all I have in it. That's just the holidays because I started it right before family started coming to town and things were just hectic.
You got the Portal now. It runs
I know.
amazing on the Portal.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how well it ran on the Portal, just sitting in my room or sitting in the living room. It was great.
If we had more time, I'd definitely go into like my fix and what I need to do for the router at home to make it. Portal, listeners, PS Portal is a device that streams what's actually going on your PS5 on a huge LCD, like a 9-inch LCD screen that has the controller on the side of it, like the same PlayStation controller.
It's a dual sense, like stretched out. Yeah.
It's so awesome. It's so great. But you do need to have a steady connection, and of course, it's best to have your PS5 on an Ethernet connection.
It is.
But anyways,
so hopping back to that,
yeah. So
real quick,
cool.
For me, if I'm gonna give you a number,
sure.
I mean, maybe. I think I give it a 9 out of 10. There's things I would like to see improved for Cyberpunk 2, but man,
cool.
That's one of my favorite games ever. Let's go 9.5.
I was about to say, why wouldn't it just be a 10 out of 10 then? Because if
I
it's
think
number
there's
4,
a little bit to add on to. I think there's a little bit to add on to for all of my games.
Sure.
Of all, maybe in my top 5. But
would you? And this is the last I'll say before we move on. But would you rank any of the games in your top 5
you're
at
right.
10 out of 10?
Maybe I need to revisit my scale.
Well,
I don't
you hear
know. I'm going to give Cyberpunk that
Yeah.
9.5. I think there's a little bit
Nice.
it can improve on for Cyberpunk 2. I'm really excited. There's
Nice.
maybe a little bit more story that we can dive into. There's a little bit more that we can do in the open world. I'm excited for the second one. It's a great game. Mikey, my question to tag on to that is, if you were to choose between playing a JRPG
Oh, no.
like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth
Uh-huh.
or Dragon Age, which direction of adventure do you take?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, it depends on the type of combat and action because that's what keeps me engaged in games. That's why I like Spider-Man. That's why I like playing sports games. Is because it's very same thing with Call of Duty, but it's very addicting in the way you move and when you hit somebody or kill somebody or whatever it is, it just feels really good. I don't know on either of those games. I've seen the way the combat looks in Dragon Age, and I did really enjoy a lot of the previous BioWare games before I kind of fell out of that circle of
Sure.
like just in general, just didn't play as many of their games. So I don't know. I would say I'm probably, and this is tough because you know me, I love me a good anime.
Sure.
So I JRPGs probably would suit me well, but
You're also
honestly,
a dad and your time is limited.
Yeah.
So
And
where are you going to put that time?
I think I'm putting it into Dragon Age. I feel
Really?
like I do think that because the combat's smoother, I'll be more inclined to come back and want to play it. Whereas from what I've heard, Rebirth kind of loses its footing. Like it gets lost a little bit in the side stuff that you do. So I mean, yeah, man, I'm probably gonna play Dragon Age. If I had to say like, oh, I'm gonna if I'm gonna go straight through and just do the main story, maybe Rebirth, because I don't think you have to do a lot of the side stuff that takes a while. I don't know, but Dragon Age. But I do love the Final Fantasy stuff. It's tough for me to say. I haven't played it, so
Wow.
you
What a
will
day.
have to let me know because
I
that's your
texted you
journey.
this morning and I told you that like I had listened to more anime than I ever had, trying to get the recap and the lore and all the stuff from Remake and earlier in
for Final
Crisis
Fantasy.
Core and all Final Fantasy stuff. And tonight you're telling me that you, the anime man, would rather play Dragon Age as a dad because that's where you'd put your time and maybe that's the experience you're going to get out of a game. But
Yeah, don't
just
take
as your friend, what a day.
Yeah, don't take too much away from it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey.
Okay, so we actually watched this together last week. No, 2 weeks ago now, because we had Christmas last week. But that new Superman trailer had come out. So for anyone wondering, James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, he's making the new Superman movie. He signed a huge deal with Warner Brothers to basically take over and do everything for anything related to DC Comics movies. So he's building up the new expanded universe for them. So he's directing the new Superman movie, and of course he's going to be in charge of all the other movies as well, making sure that it's all seamless. So my question to you, and really, or the discussion I want to have real quick, is does this mean that people are going to, because James Gunn's pretty well loved for his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I would say it's one of the most popular of the trilogies in the Marvel movies. But do you think that this is going to get people more excited about going to see DC movies than Marvel? Or do you think the fad's over, superhero movies are on their way out, and people just aren't going to be excited about it no matter what because they're not excited about any of it?
Can I answer a little of column A and a little column of B?
Sure, you can. Yeah, you can answer both of them. If it's one or the
Because-
other, it doesn't matter.
I think a new promising spin on the DC universe gives you something that you're maybe a little bit more excited to go see versus another Marvel movie within the same universe. that's-
Same formula.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Not that it's a bad movie, not that it's going to be a bad time, but just that there's maybe for the first time in a long time outside of Christopher Nolan's Batmans and
the Dark
the Matt
Knight
Reeves
trilogy.
Batmans,
Yeah.
there's something to be really excited about within DC Comics. And not DC Comics, DC movies and the entertainment world. So there, I think that, yeah, you're going to get more butts and seats, and you're going to get more excitement out of that by having James Gunn and having an awesome Superman. If you can nail that story and you make Superman fun and him relatable, man, first of all, that's incredibly tough to do, make Superman relatable. But if you can do that, if you can pull that off, if you can lean into the goofiness and the corniness and the comic bookness of Superman and make that something that people are interested in and want to see, and all of the other characters are going to fall in line after that, I feel like, and you're going to get more excitement out of that, and people are going to be more interested in seeing your version of these characters.
The other characters,
Exactly.
the lesser known characters.
Whereas
yeah,
I think
Green Lantern.
maybe the fad is maybe not over, but slowing down for Marvel because we've seen so much of it and it's gotten diluted to this point. There's still movies that everybody's excited about, but I don't know. I personally am not as excited to see the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And to be honest, I haven't really followed it outside of a few things after Endgame. So I think maybe a little bit of both. I think the Marvel is slowing down, whereas this gives people, I'm super excited for Superman. I think that's so much fun. I watched Creature Commandos. I don't know if you did.
I did, yeah.
But I enjoyed that. I am really excited for Superman, and I'm really excited to see James Gunn's take on everybody else within that universe.
Yeah, and I think, and I know I speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure I can speak for you too. When Peacemaker came out,
oh man,
maybe a little hesitant about it, but whoa,
so good,
dude! That show is great.
It was so fun,
raunchy, and it's John Cena at his finest.
It made me love John Cena
So
as
good.
an actor.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and move into the last segment, which is something that we're trying to cobble together. It's a bit of a game, but it's based on Dungeons and Dragons. We call it Action Daddies. Smite me, almighty smiter. That's about as corny as I could have started that. I was so happy with it. All right, so what we are doing is what I came up with in my head and I wanted to do, and you guys have been on board with me on it, is do Dungeons and Dragons type of game, but make it a little bit more action movie oriented, something that's a little bit more relatable to like what we actually enjoy. Not saying we don't enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, but I think there's a lot in the world of Dungeons and Dragons we don't understand. So we're trying to make our own version of it.
There's a lot in every world we don't understand.
And you know what? A lot of times I don't want to understand it. So we're just kind of making something ourselves. I'm basing a lot of what we do off of Dungeons and Dragons, but that doesn't mean every rule is going to be the same. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to replicate things accordingly. It doesn't mean things are going to go smooth either. Things are going to be messy and chaotic, but you both have signed up and agreed to allow me to do this to both of you. I don't know how or why you accepted this, but here we are. So now you're stuck with me. So what we are doing is a campaign where the two of you are different types of action heroes, and I have created a situation that you're going to run through. It's not going to be very long. It's not like it's going to be a whole action movie. It's going to be shorter, more than likely. I have part of this.
It's not going to be a whole action movie.
It's not. So it's just going to be a little bit more condensed, I believe, because we're not trying to drag this out too long. I don't know how long it's all going to take anyways. So anyways, you guys made characters. We started this off by off of the podcast together, deciding what are we doing for the classes, how are we going to define like different types of action heroes. And so we did come up with a list, and then you guys picked out 2 character classes that you're basing your characters off of. So Mike, do you remember what you made your character off of, or what your character's based off of?
The Bride and Kill Bill.
Nice. And then what's your character's name again?
Betty White.
Betty White. Excellent. So you're more of like an assassin type of character, good with sword play. I would I can't remember. We did some stats as well. We don't need to talk about those quite yet. But that's generally speaking, that's your character. Nick, you chose, what was your character class that you chose?
I am a James Bond-esque
Nice.
character.
And what's your character's name?
Hugh Cochran.
Fantastic. You can't get any better than that.
What did you get for Christmas?
A lumpicle.
So really what we're doing tonight is I'm giving everyone the lowdown that's listening to help them understand what we're going to be doing to end each of our podcasts. We'll try to spend like 10, 15, 20 minutes, just whatever's left over, running through a situation. So next week we're going to jump in and do your characters. We already did the stats, so I'll go over what the stats were for each character, and of course if anybody wants to contend and say, hey, no, that's not accurate, I shouldn't be like that, then screw you. I really don't care. We don't have time. It just is what it is. But you can tell me you don't like it. That's fine. I'm an open ear, but I'm also a closed mind. And then the other part of it beyond that, the main part of what we're doing is, you have to basically dole out the items, the armor, the weapons. So in this situation, what are you wearing and what are the weapons you're using? So for instance, for Nick, we're going to Google a bunch of James Bond type weapons and kind of learn a little bit more about what James Bond has used in the past and let him pick his weapons and of course his armor based on that. We'll go back through, talk about the Kill Bill movies a little bit, talk
See
about
what Rose Nyland used as her weapons.
Was that her name?
In the Golden Girls, yeah.
Oh, no. What?
Betty White?
Oh my God. Michael. Your name is Betty White. You're not based on Betty White from Golden Girls. Golden
I
Girls is
understand the
not
concept fully.
Golden Girls is not an action movie. It's a sitcom.
It's a good documentary.
So anyways, we're going to go ahead and jump into that next week, but wanted to kind of give everyone the main premise of what we're doing. Mm-hmm.
Talking about premises, can you tell me what our goal is or what our world is or what we're doing? Can you tell me that really fast within 2 minutes?
I mean, kind of, but I don't even technically know the full-fleshed goal.
Then tell
But
me
I
next
mean,
week.
essentially, like you guys are going to be going to a casino to do something of different purposes. You're not a team at this point.
Have we met?
You haven't met. You're walking into this casino, and your objectives are different. But of course, your objectives will lead you to the same situation where you have to come to a common end game.
Well, and you also said this is based on what movie?
Or what type of world?
This was based off of Lethal Weapon. Thank you for miming that.
Like a buddy cop movie world?
Yeah, we're basing off of buddy cop type of situation.
So we don't
here.
have any magic or...
Yeah, it's all real world. It's all very grounded, action movie-esque, like you would expect.
By naming my character after Betty White, do I have any special powers of charisma or like charm?
You'll have charisma. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if... By the way, once again, you're not based on Betty White.
Rose Nyland, got it. I understand. I can't wait. We're going to have an awesome adventure. So much fun. What if Rose Nyland was an assassin? And she teamed up with James Bond. I can't wait to meet you.
So anyways, we'll jump into that next week. Before we wrap up for the night, we're going to do... I've got a shout out to... I don't know what to call it yet. Maybe we'll just call it like a parental shout out. So
a dad that made you smile.
A dad or a mom. It doesn't have, it can be either. It can just be a parent in general. We're not trying to shoehorn ourselves here. But I do have a shout out that, thank you. I don't even know if I used it right, but I do have a shout out that's actually more of a general one. So this week by the way, now that we're more interested in the show Bluey, which I know Grayson is also really all about. But
there becomes a time where...
Oh, really?
You're just interested in 5 seconds of one thing and you fast forward like If we get him to watch more than 5 minutes of one thing, it's a win.
Yeah. But it's also okay. Like, I also have to say, if my son doesn't want to watch TV, that's totally fine.
Even better, right?
So, anyways, we're jumping in and we're watching it. I know you had told me, like, hey, just a heads up, you'll actually probably enjoy it a little bit. We were having a gas
great.
earlier today. We were laughing so much.
Another great term. I
It
haven't
is
heard that in a while.
so well done.
It's really well done. Makes you laugh.
it
There's a few
does.
episodes that really pull your heartstrings.
Yeah, and I know I've heard there's episodes like that. I don't know what they're about, so I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, you send me a nice little text.
I will, absolutely.
People tell me that I'm like Bandit.
You are like Bandit.
Yeah, he is a lot like Bandit.
You really are.
Yeah, you would be a dad like Bandit.
I agree.
He's a dad that plays along with everything. Yeah, you kind of know.
Have you watched it? You haven't binged it? You should.
Bandit's the dad in the show. So, anyways, but in doing this, in starting to watch it, I thought I recognized one of the voices that plays one of the kids. So I Googled it because I know it's strange, but
How?
One of the kids sounds like the best friend or the friend in the movie Jojo Rabbit.
Was it?
He wears the glasses.
Was it?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I Googled it. I looked it up. I can't find the information. So I dig a little bit deeper and I found out that the cast and crew, the adults, they had their kids do the voiceover work for the kids in the show, and they don't share the information for their names. Because it's a very much so like, hey, our kids are doing this, but like this does not define their lives, and we don't want them to have to deal with any unwanted attention. So that was my shout out. My shout outs
cool.
to those parents and that are the crew and the cast members that said, you know what, it's awesome that our kids get to do this and enjoy it and be proud of their work. And of course, I'm sure if their kids are like, yeah, I'm the voice of this character or whatever to their friends, they can say that. But I think it is so cool that these parents took the initiative to not treat, and of course this show's Australian, but to take the initiative to say, hey, we're not going to expose our kids like that. And it's such a stark contrast from the child stars of America in Hollywood and how just mentally, and I'm sure sometimes
how
physically beaten up they are.
and-
And yeah, and how like it really ruins them because you don't see a lot of child actors continue on into adult careers and be mentally stable and successful. I think of Ryan Gosling, but that's about it. And even then, I don't necessarily think he was super popular as a kid. I just think, yeah. So anyways,
He was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
he was. But I don't know. And maybe he was more popular as a kid than I realized,
I think he was
but I didn't
fairly
think so.
popular.
Okay. Well, good for him. Good for any American child star
There's a
that
few
ends
of
up
them.
being
Macaulay Culkin
normal.
is one that, went through the entire loop
Yeah.
and has ended up on the bright side of life. So I'm going to take it, I guess, maybe in a little bit of a different direction. Yours was a little bit more wholesome than mine. We just had the holidays. Things went well. Things didn't go well. Lights went on the house. Heights were achieved. Dinner was made. Briskets were on the grill for like 18 to 20-ish hours. Not on the grill, but cooking. So just everything I felt, just a shout out to Homer Simpson, because I felt so many successes, yet so many failures and instances where I was just like so disappointed in like maybe the outcome of the things that I tried or the look of the things that I tried, but we eventually landed the plane. But just throughout it, I felt like Homer, and I just kept doing things that made me laugh and made me laugh at myself, which I think is important when you're taking yourself seriously and you're a dad and you're trying to be there for your kids and make the best Christmas that you can. But, just shout out to being able to fail and make up for it and get better and make a great Christmas, I guess, and get over your obstacles. So shout out to being able to laugh at yourself.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Homer Simpson and the parents of the kids that are voice actors in Bluey. This has been another episode of Dad Meets World. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Think you have an